Ready to go, ready to get into stuff.
Yo.
No kidding. Welcome back to Truth Hurts. We expose corrupt politicians on both sides of the aisle. I'm Jake Duesenberg, your host, broadcasting live from Roseville, Minnesota, in the Valley of the Beast, the liberal zombie apocalypse of House District 40B. What are we going to be talking about today, MAGA Jesse?
Yeah, that's right. We got some good stuff to get into. We'll be talking about the special elections that are going on between 40B and Senate District 60. We'll be talking about an update on Senator Nicole Mitchell, the cat burglar. We'll be talking about Republicans fighting on a couple of different fronts here, from the Public Safety Committee to 54A. And then we will be closing out with Otter Tail County, where David Hann unilaterally decided to gut them at the very last minute on his way out the door. I see we got Mary K21 in the comments. We got Tucker91, Susie Scarella, and failed candidate already. So appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure to leave a Rumble rant if you want to. Make sure your comment is read.
And also, if you're not a premium subscriber, please become a premium subscriber. That way you could be part of our post show, which will be really lively today because I got a lot of stuff on my mind. I think sometimes I'll use the post show as a way to start a thought process. Because, you know, that's the problem with new media is people put stuff out there, and a lot of times it turns out to be fake and stuff like that.
Or the story's not ready yet.
Oh, the story's not ready yet.
Yep.
Actually, we've done that a lot,
Yep,
right?
exactly.
Okay, well, I got some thoughts. I'm going to just put it this way. Well, let's start here real quick, okay? I know it's not on the tab on the bottom. Have you noticed in the last year, maybe you're not like this, Jesse, you're younger than me, but it seems like reality is kind of like, how do I describe this? What is real? What is reality has been maybe...
The Overton window is expanded.
No, not the Overton window. I'm talking about like the reality of the universe seems so questionable these days. I'm for hosting a show, I'm in lack of good way to describe what I'm trying to say. I'll put it this way. When COVID started, I remember taking a walk with my family. This is like about a week into it. And the world shut down essentially, right? And you're not going to work, all that kind of stuff. And I just thought, like, man, this is so weird. Like, if the zombie apocalypse started, at some point into the zombie apocalypse, you'd be like, man, the reality, the world has shifted, right? And I have a new future. Well, I had that feeling during COVID. Like, I thought I knew things, and now it's just like the whole world upended. And of course, it seems like some regard we've gone back to our normal way of life. I've had that same kind of feeling. You guys tell me if I'm crazy here. By the way, Dawson running the dial. Sorry, Dawson. Didn't mean to.
Hi. Whatever was in your burrito, I think I want some because it was something good.
He had a burrito because I was coughing up before the show. I had a
Adding on to that, Bill Dangsman says Jake dropped acid before today's show.
Fair point. Okay. What I'm saying is, you look at the dynamics of political news in last year. I mean, we are talking about nuclear war with Russia, which seems crazy. I'm a end of Gen X, so it's like I didn't really know the Cold War, right? I was very young when I mean, the Soviet Union, basically my whole life was on the decline. I still remember the map saying USSR, but I mean, other than that, I don't remember the Cold War, right? Cheers to UK Wall too, by the way. So it's like you talk about those stories. You talk about politics. You talk about the fact that we literally had a leading presidential candidate and former president almost assassinated twice, right? Then all of a sudden you finish the year out with drones, and then all of a sudden you see these stories come out just on New Year's Day, which is crazy, okay? And then you watch who our freaking president of the United States is. Dawson, pull up A1. This is Joe Biden. Yes, he is still president. He is still president, by the way. Timestamp 548. This is right on my Twitter account. This is the president. I mean, this is the guy supposedly running the country, finally addressing. By the way, you know, every president vacations. So I've seen some things on Twitter about he's taking more vacation than anyone. Every president vacations. They don't really vacation. This guy's been vacationing in his head probably since day one of the job. Like, has he ever cognitively been there the whole time? But this is the president addressing the nation, what, at least 24 hours later? Whatever it is. Watch this.
Good evening. I know I can speak for all Americans when I say our hearts are with the people of New Orleans after the despicable attack that occurred in the early morning hours. To all the families of those who were killed, to all those who are injured, to all the people of New Orleans who are grieving today, I want you to know I grieve with you. Our nation grieves with you. We're going to stand with you as you mourn and as you heal in the weeks to come. I want to thank our brave first responders and law enforcement personnel who stopped the attacker in his tracks before he could kill or injure even more people. And I want to thank you to everyone at the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Justice, including the FBI, for working nonstop to investigate this heinous act. The FBI is leading the investigation to determine what happened, why it happened, and whether there was any continuing threat to public safety. Here's what we know so far. The FBI has reported to me.
And by the way, what do we know so far? I mean, there's chaos when any big mass incident happens, whether it's some murders or public shootings or terrorist act. There's chaos. Okay, what I will say about the storyline that we're being told was initially the FBI acted like he was alone. Then yesterday in a press conference saying that this guy acted, and they're looking at other incidences of IEDs. And now their official statement from the FBI is that he acted alone. And then you get Kennedy, and we're going to get into the Minnesota news here. Just got to get this off my chest here. Go back to my Twitter account. Just go down the feed. Because I've been trying to follow the story here a little bit.
I haven't heard anything about this.
By the way, here. Well, you don't know about this whole story in New Orleans?
No idea.
Really?
I for the last few days, I've kind of just been chilling. It's been nice.
Oh, yeah. Well, literally at 3 a.m. in New Orleans, a crazy lunatic drove a Ford Lightning truck into crowds and killed. The body count's at 15 and dozens more injured. Keep scrolling down here. So this is, oh, God, yeah. I haven't just been focusing on this story. That's the Tesla, the Cybertruck. Yep, that exploded.
Why did so much stuff happen?
Well, so he had fireworks in there. Clearly, you could see him bouncing off, but this is clearly detonated, and this was in front of Trump Hotel in Vegas. You know where that's at. We can see that when we're at Resorts World for the conference.
Is this the Elon versus Trump crowd?
And you can see a guy in the background running away.
Yeah, apparently there's injuries. Now, it's actually interesting. The initial reports by the fake news media was a Cybertruck explodes, so people think it's a bad battery. Oh, Elon screwed up his vehicle. Turns out this thing was detonated, and because of the structure of the Cybertruck, the blast went up. You know, the blast of anyone that's been in the military knows this. Blast of any kind of explosive device follows the path of least resistance. So the fact that he's so protected. Listen, I love my aluminum Ford F-150, but I don't think the same thing would happen in the back of that. Go ahead.
Yep, I see we got a $5 rumble in. Failed Cannon says, guaranteed this guy was on the FBI radar and they failed. That's a good point.
Probably, yeah.
And Tucker91, also a $5 rumble in, says, Ford and GM should be taking notes on how to build a good truck. It makes me want to buy a Cybertruck now, even though I still think they look ridiculous. So
yeah, well,
they do kind of look ridiculous. I mean, I've seen some of the, when people put their own, what's it called? When you put your own color and tint onto the like
Cybertruck. Wraps you're talking about?
Yeah. When they wrap it, it can look really cool, but yeah, it is a weird looking design.
It's grown on me. Well, let's not go off.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So is this person trying to make a?
We don't know anything about this. What we know right now is this guy. His name Livingston. Let me get this correct. He's actually supposedly an E8 in 10th Group Special Forces in the Army. So he's a master sergeant, which would be pretty high up. Now, I saw Tim Kennedy, who's actually a sergeant major, former MMA fighter, a UFC fighter. He posted, does anyone know who this is? I've got contacts inside Special Forces. I've already asked. But, I mean, it's a small group, but at the same point, there's a chance that even the fact that Tim Kennedy and those guys don't know him, it is what it is. I just want someone to confirm this guy literally is in the Army. I haven't seen a statement from the Pentagon or the Army yet confirming this guy is in the U.S. Army Special Forces. But apparently, to achieve the rank of Master Sergeant in the Special Forces, by the way, 2-time Afghanistan veteran, apparently set this thing ablaze in front of Trump Tower. Now, Cybertruck in front of Trump Tower, I think the politics here seem very obvious, okay? Now, I didn't plan to get on that story just yet. If you stick around for the post show, I got a theory here. It's not ready for mainstream yet, but I got a theory, and I want to share that with you guys. If you're a premium subscriber, if you're not, go to truthhurtsnews.com. You can sign up. Also, this show is brought to you by Warren Wessel of Keller Williams Realty. If you're looking to buy a home or sell a home, give my good friend Warren Wessel a call at 612-419-7453. Not only a great real estate agent, but sings in my church choir, and boy, does he got a great voice. I'll tell you what, on Christmas Eve, good job there. Christmas Eve. I almost said New Year's Eve. Good job there, Warren. Also, if you're buying a home, give the good guys at John Galt Mortgage a chance at financing that home. Not buying that home, financing that home. You go to johngaltmortgage.com. The guys over there are great. By the way, top-notch, liberty-minded individuals who share their views on their social media accounts through John Galt Mortgage. And last but not least, brought to you by Alpine Cabinetry in St. Cloud, Minnesota. K-Wall for life. Read the guy rented that truck. So both this truck, the Cybertruck, and the F-150. I can't believe you don't know this, Dawson. Go back to my Twitter account. We're going to get into Minnesota news here as the crowd starts joining us here. Scroll down a little bit. Did I post this initial story? This would have came out when I woke up. That's okay. Keep going down. Keep going down. You know, have some fun. I'm a humorous guy. Right. I probably... Okay. All right, go back up. We're not serious anymore. Keep going. No. Go back up to... I must not have posted an initial story on it. So, Dawson, a guy rents a... Move up from that. That's a great joke, by the way. It's pretty damn funny. Keep going up. I want to go to the Ford press statement here. Keep going up just a little bit more. Actually, you can stop at the hotel lobby. That's pretty good. So anyhow, 3 a.m. on Bourbon Street in New Orleans, a gentleman drives a Ford Lightning truck, so that's the electric vehicle, into a crowd, kills 15, injures dozens more. The barriers that usually stop people from getting on those streets were down, and apparently were under maintenance. Now, it's crazy to me because Bourbon Street could not possibly be busier. This is like not only is it New Year's Eve, which is a popular destination, but it's also the the Sugar Bowl is in town, which they postpone a day. It's going to happen now tonight. Super Bowl is going to be there too in a month. I think New Orleans probably only during Mardi Gras would be busier, right? I think New Year's Eve is probably even bigger on New Year's Eve. Who knows? So why would they be doing maintenance on those that day? Okay, I don't want to get into conspiracies on this. The guy turns out to be someone who's an Army veteran, also Afghanistan war veteran. Now, he was driving a vehicle with an ISIS flagpole on it. Okay, so it seems that he was raised Christian and then converted to Islam at some point. We don't know much more of the story. A lot of center-right moved quickly to he came across the border. He's part of a sleeper cell. Now, that's a worry we all have. I think that's probably happening. Doesn't seem like that's the case here, but we don't know early on. But somehow, in the last 24 hours, the FBI and law enforcement are now saying he acted alone, even though we heard different stories. Now, go back to my Twitter account. Sorry about this, Dawson. Scroll up. Now, Ford, this is the interesting thing. I don't see this getting talked about much. On the left there, you see what is in 3 tweets from, or do you call them post now on X? Yeah, click on that. This was Ford Motor Company's Twitter account. All eyes on Gaza. What does it say here? I got a camera.
Israel is a terrorist state in Free Palestine. Okay,
so someone hacked Ford's account. Now, this guy, remember, he is a guy showing sympathy to ISIS, and he's driving a Ford F-150. And then scroll over. And just so you know, this is a true story, because I was like, is this true? There's an official statement at some point on, I did this the afternoon of yesterday, the 1st of January, that they announced that they did have a hack. It was compromised, right? And there are 3 posts, and those were the 3 posts I just showed you. I don't see this getting talked about. I'm kind of curious. You guys at home, did you know this happened? Because this seems to be a big part of the story. Like, it expands above and beyond. Now, this guy was in IT since leaving the Army. I think he even was part of Army and Human Resources when he was in the military. Did he hack the account with Ford? Like, is it symbolic? Everyone says the Tesla truck blowing up in front of Trump Hotel in Las Vegas is symbolic. Obvious reasons. How about this Ford hack with Twitter account? By the way, I just thought about that. Twitter. They hacked the Elon Musk account. Jeez. I think, God, Elon's over everything, right? All right, so, and KAC2 says something, good question. And why at 3 a.m.? Why not at 12 when people would be there? I don't know. I have no idea. We don't know anything about this yet. We still don't know about these assassination tips on Trump. God, that story's never coming up. What we do know is apparently it's an Army veteran in both cases, and both are homegrown terrorists. And that's about where we're at right now. Let's see.
Was the New Orleans guy
at 1? What are we at? 1:16 p.m. on January 2nd, 2025. What were you saying?
Was the New Orleans guy killed, or is he?
He got in a shootout with local law enforcement, and they were able to take him out.
Oh, he did. So he had guns and stuff too.
Yeah, apparently he had guns, but I don't believe those were used. I think most of it was vehicular homicide. Yeah, K-Wall says, sure feels like MK Ultra. I know. Okay. I still can't confirm yet. I've been out of the military a good 10-some years, but, I know people. I'm trying to confirm if this guy literally was in the Special Forces. Because when I saw that, I'm like, if you're an E8 in Special Forces, it means you've been there for like 20 years. And that's not a huge community, right? Like, that was Army infantry. I know a lot of people in the Army infantry when I was in, like, that's a much bigger crowd than Special Forces. Okay, so go back to the Twitter account. I thought there was one other thing I was going to talk about on that. Scroll up. Yep, that. Yeah, okay. There we go. Now, this is Senator John Kennedy. Pause it real quick. Okay. I think this guy is a committee hero. We should have a real name for this, Jesse. The guys that get all the sound bites, the footage of them in committees, they sound great. John Kennedy sounds like a good old-fashioned Southern politician, good old Southern lawyer. And he asks about, questions on transgender stuff, and you're like, yeah, grill that Biden cabinet member. But he's a rhino. He votes like all the rest of the establishment. This one was just bizarre. This is him on Fox News. Just watch. I don't even know how to respond to this. Watch this.
Just a final question here for not just people in Louisiana that are watching, but people coast to coast that are watching tonight. Are you getting the sense that there's any threat of any other potential attacks tonight on any other major cities?
I can't answer that. I can, but I won't.
Is New Orleans safe tonight?
Yes, but we're still in the process of tightening up security. We're still in the process of doing everything that we possibly can. The governor's called out the National Guard. We've got more FBI coming. We've got Homeland Security people. We've got state troopers who've done an awesome job. We've got the NOPD. We're doing everything we can, but like I say, there's a lot of information out there. Some of it's accurate.
Okay. Just a final question here.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, thanks for that. Thanks. What? By the way,
being wrong, and something else happens, and they're like, "You were wrong."
There's another press conference, and I must not put on my Twitter account, where he's basically saying there's more to the story, and I would tell you, but I can't right now because there is an investigation. But there's more to the story, and I will make sure the FBI will tell you that story. I'm like, what are you trying to tell us? And by the way, did we not predict this on the show? No one would be talking about drones in a couple weeks, and then it just goes away. The story goes away. and no one's talking about drones, but what were those drones? Like, one of our theories on the show was there's some heightened security in America and, the mass population in New Jersey, and that's what the drones are. They're trying to detect something. I mean, you know what I'm saying? All right, now, one more thing on my Twitter account. X account. Right there. This is the governor who called up. Just click on it. The governor that called on the National Guard. This is last night. How tone deaf can you be? Governor Jeff Landry ate dinner tonight in New Orleans. Proud to be a part of this incredibly resilient city. See everyone at the game tomorrow. And there he is smiling and giving a thumbs up. Like, what are you doing? There are like bodies on the ground. I think there might have still been bodies on the ground when this photo was taken. And you're just acting like, well, we're having a good old steak dinner. I'm sure most people can't even afford to eat at that place. That looks real nice, And like the tone deafness of this guy. I mean, that should be politics 101. You don't do something like that. At least John Kennedy found some. I don't think
he's
John
a new
Kennedy
governor.
I don't think John Kennedy was in the military. I'm going to look this up right now. He somehow found a flight jacket of some sort. Air Force or Army. I'm looking this up. John, why does it not come up?
I doubt he was. He was a longtime politician. He was the state treasurer of Louisiana before being senator. And he was a Democrat. He used to be an elected Democrat before he was ever a Republican.
Right. Well, of course, things have changed. Why is John Kennedy? Why is that not coming up? Is it one N?
Just too common, I'd guess. I don't know.
Yeah, but he's a U.S. senator. Senator John Kennedy. Is it? I thought it was Jon. Is it not Jon?
No,
is it J-O-H?
He's got an H.
Yeah, that's what I was doing wrong. I mean, like, what are the odds that we've had two John Kennedy? Yeah, it is. Oh. I guess I just assumed we wouldn't be confusing him with Jack Kennedy. Let's see here. Graduated from Zachary valedictorian, then Vanderbilt, whereas graduated magna cum laude at Vanderbilt. Kennedy was studying. No military service. Okay, there we go. Because I didn't want to belittle his military service he served. But yeah, obviously he found a Air Force or Army flight jacket. I mean, that's just what you do as a politician. I'm in command here. I found something military or some kind of emergency response, and there you go. They got the governor posting. By the way, I think the governor realized on that thread how bad that looked after the fact. I saw him have another statement, but geez, you'd think you learned that one in day one of politics. Okay. I would apologize to you guys for being off topic right off the bat, but I don't think anyone cares. I think you guys are engaged because this is interesting stuff. Now, I've got a theory, and I'll talk about that in the post show. If you want to join our post show, if you're not a premium subscriber, go to truthhurtsnews.com. By the way, if you're also looking to go to see Jordan Peterson at the end of this month, January 27th, the first day of the Nicole Mitchell trial, I probably can't even go to this thing. We'll be up in Detroit Lakes getting footage of Nicole Mitchell's trial. That's jury selection. But if you want to go see Jordan Peterson, go to truthhurtsnews.com/JBP as in Jordan B. Peterson. That's truthhurtsnews.com/JBP. We'll be giving away these seats here very soon. Anyone can sign up and subscribe, enter truthhurtsnews.com/JBP. Okay. All right, let's get into Minnesota specific here. Jesse. First topic, special elections. Okay. Yep. Now, we talked about this on the finale of last year, 200th episode. By the way, welcome to year 3, guys. Isn't this fun?
I haven't seen you guys for a whole year.
I know.
That's crazy.
What do we got going on here?
Yeah, so we talked about it a little bit before, but just to give a quick rundown for people, many people are aware of the fact that Tim Walz had ordered a special election for 40B. Additionally, with Senate District 60, these are things that were not being filed according to the law, because if you follow 204D.19, that's the code for the statute for how to fill special elections and how things need to go during that time. Tim Walz is clearly not following it. He's trying to follow Subdivision 3 as opposed to Subdivision 4. You can check out an Action for Liberty article that talks all about that, because Judge Leonardo Castro ruled that the seat was to be vacated because the election result gave an illegitimate candidate the win, which was Curtis Johnson in 40B.
Do you have the language from that court case by chance? Were you reading that verbatim there?
Yes, it says, contestee Curtis Johnson did not meet the residence requirements and is not eligible to serve as the representative for Minnesota House District 40B. Curtis Johnson is enjoined from taking the oath of office from acting as a member.
Enjoined. Okay, so that's great. Great legal term, enjoined, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can't find it, so I'm just going to allude to something that I can't find. Okay, this is Blois Olson's report this morning, which is interesting because he was gone for like a week and a half covering politics, so it was a big download here. This is a reporter who reports a lot of stuff at the happenings at the Capitol, and he wrote, Governor Tim Walz today, this is according to the Office of the Governor, Governor Tim Walz today issued a writ of special election to fill a vacancy in House District 40B in Ramsey County following the resignation of Representative Curtis Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what we read? Maybe we did read that.
Right, exactly.
I thought I had thought he had
been disqualified by the courts. But so he is claiming it's a resignation. He actually sent a letter to Tim Walz where he said, after much reflection with sincere gratitude to the DFL party and the people of District 40B, I have made the difficult decision not to accept my seat in Minnesota House of Representatives and to resign from the office. So he's
hold on. So
he's using this as an attempt
this? Where is this? Do we have this?
It's an article on actionforliberty.com.
Okay, let's pull this up here, Dustin, because I haven't seen this. Sorry, I thought it was in that Blois Olson. Do we have it in the comment section here?
No, Dawson, just go to actionforliberty.com.
Sorry, guys, I'm doing this on the fly. Jesse, so when we get a real busy day like today, I mean, holy crap, talk about a lot of stuff to talk about. When we have a real busy day, we usually take different segments for the pre-show planning. Yes, Brad, we do pre-show planning. You asshole, I knew he was going to go there. I knew it. Mm-hmm. But anyhow, so I haven't seen this yet, and I really want to see it.
This was written by someone else here, but yeah, I mean, whenever Dawson gets Action for Liberty pulled up, I can direct it. So go to
got
that
a bunch.
The second article, an eligible candidate resigns, and scroll down. That's the letter that Curtis Johnson sent to Tim Walz right there.
Okay, and is there a way for us to blow this up?
So I can just continue reading it. He says, it has been a privilege to serve Roseville and the surrounding communities of the Roseville School Board for the past 7 years, and I had hoped to continue to do so as representative for District 40B. While I disagree with the conclusions reached by the district court, I recognize that whatever the decision on appeal, the ultimate decision belongs to the legislature, where it appears there is no viable path for me being allowed to retain my seat. Rather than dragging this out further, I've decided to resign now so that a special election can be held as soon as possible for the people of 40B will be represented in the legislature.
Okay, so let's just go back to the beginning of this letter. All right, just think about this. All right, now the DFL knows what they're doing here, right? They know that they are out of compliance with the law. I would allege Governor Walz's team communicated with Curtis Johnson here to get this thing crafted, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Dear Governor Walz, after much reflection and with sincere gratitude to the DFL party and the people of District 40B, because you lied, I have made the difficult decision not to accept my seat in the Minnesota House of Representatives and to resign from the office of state representative effective immediately and irrevocably. Those two things seem to be incongruent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You did not accept your seat.
Yep.
So how do you resign from a seat you never accepted?
He's never held it. Exactly. He's
Dawson,
never held
am I
the
missing
seat.
something here? You're a neutral party. We're biased.
Dude, I don't know what the hell's going on here. This is also confusing.
I can't believe you didn't know about New Orleans. I mean, like, God.
I had such a wonderful New Year's Eve. I just turned on social media.
I know. Why ruin it? Why ruin it?
Yeah.
You're the normal person here.
All right. Actually, go back to that article just to show one last thing here.
Am I taking crazy pills here? Right?
Scroll down, Dawson.
Am I on acid? Is that not crazy? Like, you can't
crazy.
resign something you don't take.
Okay, and that's what I wanted to talk about right here. So that was the section of law that I'm talking about. Scroll down a little bit, Dawson. So Tim Walz and the Democrats are going to use Subdivision 3 to justify their legal reasonability to make these special elections happen when they did, when in fact they should be using subdivision 4 because this was a vacancy because of the election contest, because Judge Leonardo Castro ruled that the result of this contest is that the seat should be vacated because the winner was illegitimate. And so for that reason, they need to be using the correct statute. And when they're using subdivision 3, that's what Tim Walz is using to say, we need to force it right now, even though that's not according to the law. Hopefully that is challenged in the courts.
It will be. We got word this is going to be challenged, by the way.
And so, Dawson, let's go ahead and go to Exhibit A2, and we can check out what happened at the endorsing convention for 40B, because this was a very interesting thing, because Curtis Johnson's old opponent, David Gottfried, was candidate. John Doan was the establishment choice, while this David Gottfried was clearly the progressive choice. Very interesting about this endorsing convention, because this was held on a holiday, New Year's Day. 99 people still showed up somehow, and the convention was not held in the district. It was not held in 40B. Guess where this convention was held? Little Canada. That is where Curtis Johnson was carpetbagging from. So 40B decided, let's hold the endorsing convention in honor of Curtis Johnson in 40B. You know, probably maybe it's where they could, the only place they could find a building or something, but it's absolutely ridiculous that they weren't able to do something within their own district, that they decided to go to Little Canada of all the places to go. So that's the first round of voting. As you can see, there was 3 candidates who participated in that first thing. There were actually 5 Democrats who had filed to run for this special election, with Paul Wickstrom as the only Republican, Paul Wickstrom being the guy who challenged Curtis Johnson during the last general election. So that was the results of the first round of voting. As you can see, Jasmine Carey only got 5 votes. Therefore, she's eliminated. Go ahead and scroll down, Dawson. And we can see the results of round 2. As you can see, Gottfried got 52% of the vote, while the establishment choice, Shoreview City Councilman John Doan, received 47% of the vote. Like the Republicans, you need 60% of the vote in order to win the endorsement. So, following that round of voting, it looks like maybe they had some kind of talk between the two of them, and John Doan decides, okay, I am going to step out of this thing. Go ahead and scroll down, Dawson, just so we can have that source there. John Doan has dropped out and conceded before the third ballot results endorsement of David Gottfried by acclamation incoming. That's exactly what happened. This guy, I think he is the Minnesota Young Democrats president or something like that. They were in support of this David Gottfried. David Gottfried is obviously radical on every single issue. And so that was kind of what happened at their endorsing convention. And according to some sources online, it sounds as if there will be no primary that will take place. It sounds like all of the candidates from the Democrat side have agreed to abide by that endorsement. I've been keeping an eye on the Secretary of State's website that shows a listing of these candidates. I've noticed a couple of them dropping as it has come off, including that John Doan, who is obviously the strongest Democrat opponent to this David Gottfried. So let's go ahead and go to the A3 and check out what drunk driving gay they state representative Brian Curran had to say about David Gottfried, because Brian Curran isn't just a normal person anymore. Brian Curran is the assistant leader of the Democrats, and so for whatever reason, they want drunk drivers in charge. They're putting drunk drivers behind the wheel.
Hold on. Is that a new job, assistant leader?
Yeah.
They just elected them for that?
Yeah.
After the DWI.
Yeah, you can read that on actionforliberty.com. But
I missed that story. Jeez.
She says, hey, all, excellent candidates for our neighborhood in 40B at their convention today after the third round of voting. Having the lead in all the rounds, David Gottfried won by concession from John Doan. The other 3 candidates also gracefully bowed out at different times throughout the process. Our new DFL candidate for 40B will need all the support he can get, so if you're up for some knocking or calling to help us keep a 67-67 tie in the House, please join us in campaigning for David. So it's clear the Democrats are very, very nervous about this district because they want to make sure that they got their seat. And we'll just have to wait and see. Today is the withdrawal date for candidates. So that's why they felt the need to rush through an endorsing convention. So we will see if this David Gottfried is the only remaining candidate at the end of the day, because that's at least what the word on the street is from these Democrats, that they are all going to abide by this endorsement. And actually, can you go back to the Twitter? One last thing I wanted to say on that A2, Dawson. Scroll down a little bit. Actually, go up. Sorry. I guess this doesn't have it, but I'll find it later. But there's a picture that shows a lot of the people at that endorsing convention. It shows that the Democrats are the party of old white people. Every single person in that picture is old and white, and so it just shows that that's the party of inclusion. Yeah, it really looks like it. So, and I think what the dynamics were between these candidates was John Doan was more the establishment one, while this David Gottfried was the clear progressive who was radical on every single issue. And we can check that out. Dawson, go ahead and pull up the A4 so that we can see David Gottfried's website. Because if he is going to be the choice of the Democrats in this Democrat stronghold, we need to keep an eye on what they believe in.
Oh, he's a young guy, huh?
Yes, he's a community activist, this and that. So, we could look at some of his specific issues here if we want to, but some of the things that I see in there was that he supports a specific piece of legislation, HF 3570. Which bans the sale and transfer of most semi-automatic weapons, which means that he is big-time anti-gun. He wants stupid, ridiculous storage laws so that you can't get your gun in time when you got a home intruder. He supports the child transgender surgeries, and he even has ideas on disarming police officers. How not every single police officer needs to be carrying a weapon. It's a joke. People can check that out on his website. They can see all of the radical things that he's pushing. It shows that the Democrats... even when they're seeing an election result like they're seeing where the Democrats have just been clobbered in Minnesota, where they lose all these seats, where it's clear that the Democrats' agenda is not what the people want, they push someone who is extremely radical.
Oh, we got an interesting story.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That thing right there where he says, my story was not a traumatic one, this and that.
Yeah, he's a pansexual.
Yeah.
We're going to have to go with the dictionary in this one. First of all, you can tell how woke he is, right? Because to him, it's not just LGBTQ, right? Mm-hmm. It's LGBTQIA. No, let's go through this again. Yeah, plus.
Yep.
So it's I is, what is the I?
Intersex.
Intersex, and then asexual, and then...
Plus is everything else.
Plus is everything. But so he's not a 2S, because that's two-spirited. So he's not as woke as Kolowski.
Yeah.
But because Kolowski is a two-spirited. Now, what is a pansexual?
I can answer this.
You do know this.
Yeah, so bisexuals will date men or women. Pansexuals, it doesn't matter. So they can be trans or they can be asexual or whatever. Does that make sense?
No, that doesn't make any sense.
So, gosh, I guess I don't know the best way to explain
Well,
it.
let's look it up. This will be fun here because I think our audience is probably in the dark in this one too. Got to keep up with this stuff, guys. I mean, he's definitely woke. He's LGBTQIA+. Mm-hmm. I mean, that is... Poor two spirits with him.
So it's in addition to the queer caucus.
Yeah. Okay. Pansexuality. Well, what's on the top of the Google search or whatever you use? There you go. Differences between... Well, we don't want ads from that. Do they have their own flag too? Okay, yes. What is it? Similar but not quite. You're going to have to read it. I can't see it. I got a
Bisexuality
camera.
And pansexuality are similar but not quite the same. Bisexuality generally refers to people who feel attracted to more than one gender, while pansexuality typically refers to those who feel an attraction to people regardless of gender.
What?
That doesn't make sense?
No.
So if I'm bisexual, I wouldn't necessarily be in a relationship with someone who is gender fluid. Right.
Oh, so this is accounting for gender fluidity?
Yeah. Yeah, it's basically
Oh, yeah, failed candidate. Bill Dingsman's mom told me gender fluid comes from my... Oh, God.
Nice.
Went right there. Well, Bill Dingsman must have had a comment here. Where is it? I don't even see it.
Yeah, I don't see it either.
Huh.
Was it the
Must have
acid
disappeared.
He must have removed it, or she.
Yeah, maybe it was the acid one.
Did you have to remove it?
No, I didn't remove anything.
Oh, did he have a naughty word?
Maybe.
Okay,
But
yeah. Who gets to move on? Susie's right. Boy, did I fall for that trap. Go on. Continue on.
All right.
I just saw it. I'm like, holy cow, what? I'm learning every day.
Yep. So this guy is obviously far left, and considering the fact that Curtis Johnson was to the right of him, this guy is going to be crazy. So we need to.
But does he live in the district, Jesse? That's
it appears he lives in the district, and
okay.
because he was competing against Curtis Johnson for this endorsement. previously.
So he won the endorsement outside of the district, but he lives in the district. Okay,
Yep.
got it.
All right, and then let's go ahead and pull up the A5, Dawson, and we can see the candidates who are listed out.
Okay, before we get to SD60, I just got to throw this out here. So there's going to be a court case filed by Republicans against Walz, basically calling this bogus special session. He clearly can't do it. He's clearly skirting the law. He's clearly manufactured this idea that you could not take the seat, which, by the way, Curtis Johnson didn't have a chance to take the seat. The judge told him he couldn't, right? Mm-hmm. And then you resign from a seat you never took. That's so bullshit. Anyone knows that. Just it doesn't pass a common sense test, right? All right. So how funny is it that these 99 gray hair white people, I'm just going to say that because you're right, the photo, I don't know where the photo is, but that's what it was, right? Mm-hmm. And they're the party of inclusion, right? Although it's probably because all their diverse group were like, no, we were actually partying because it's New Year's Day, right? So they all give up their New Year's Day to go have an endorsing convention that, assuming this court case will be successful, will mean nothing. They made an endorsement for a fraudulent convention because they were following Governor Walz and the DFL leaders. I can't wait to see that because, honest to God, I think this should be a slam dunk case. I'm not a lawyer. Who knows? But it just seems like most common sense would be you can't do this. Like, that's literally in law. This is a challenge. And by the way, Subdivision 4 says the governor doesn't issue that writ of special election until 22 days after the start of the legislative session. So that's 22 days after January 14th. Mm-hmm. By the way, what does this matter in the end? Not much, because Republicans only get a majority till March, and bills don't usually move that fast. But despite what the Democrats are saying, they still can pass a bill out of the House. They don't need 68 votes. That's bullshit.
Yeah, and obviously Brad Tabke is nervous that the Republicans would do something about his seat, which they obviously should, because nobody can be sure that he actually won that seat.
Yeah, we'll get to that later.
So, Dawson, go ahead and pull up the A5, and we can discuss what's going on in Senate District 60, which is even more of a Democrat stronghold following Kerry Dietzig's death. So there is a special election going on in there as well. Go ahead and scroll down, Dawson.
And people have to understand, because maybe they didn't see our last show and haven't seen the stories. They might have been like Dawson. The Democrat, former majority leader, Democrat Kerry Dietzig, passed away on Saturday. Friday or Saturday. We found out on Saturday. Mm-hmm. So right now, the Minnesota Senate is a 33-33 tie.
Yep. All right, and go ahead and go up to that list of the candidates there. So when the filing first happened, there was actually 10 Democrats who filed and 3 Republicans. As of now, there are 9 Democrats, 3 Republicans still standing. And this is going to be an extremely competitive district because, and I'll just give you a list out who some of these people are here. So Doran Clark, he's the former SD60 Democrat Party chair. Peter Wagenius, he was a 2018 candidate for this district, 60 in the House, 60B. He got second place in that. That was after Ilhan Omar resigned the seat. Mohammed Noor took that seat. So he was involved in that primary. He is the legislative and political director for the climate cultist group Sierra Club North Star chapter. There is Iris Altamirano, who is a union president. There is Mohammed Jama, a Somali community activist, a former advisor to the Attorney General's office, a part of a young Somali group. And I saw there was a Mohammed Jama attached to the Feeding Our Future fraud, but I think that it's a different Mohammed Jama. There's lots of Mohammeds nowadays. There is Monica Meyer, who is the political director for Gender Justice and the former executive director for Out Front, which are two both radical LGBTQ organizations. There is Josh Preston, who is an attorney. He was a candidate also in 2018 after Ilhan decided to run for Congress. He only got under 5%. He appears that word on the street is that he was in the Minnesota National Guard, and that the left-wing people aren't exactly happy with him because he might have been involved in the National Guard when the BLM protests were shut down in Minneapolis. But that's just according to anonymous comments on his attorney website. So for whatever reason on his attorney website, he is not stopping the trolls from coming after him. There is Amal Kareem, who is a program officer for an educational credit management corporation, which is designed to close equity gaps. It looks like her claim to fame is being on Jeopardy. She was on the TV show Jeopardy, and She's a Bangladesh Muslim immigrant. We got Emilio Cesar Rodriguez, who is going to be running for the city council of Minneapolis in 2025, and he just looks like another left-wing activist. And then this Clay Morgan, the last Democrat who is listed, benefit accountant for the Royal Bank of Canada, if I found the right guy, not 100%. Clay Morgan's a common name. There was another Democrat, Howard Melcher. He dropped out of the race, and there are 3 Republicans who are running. One guy is a potential libtard, Jonathan Kramer. If it's the right guy that I found, he's got BLM all over his Facebook. So if that's the guy, he's not a winner. There is a guy named Christopher Robin Zimmerman with he/him pronouns in his bio, but looks like he was a Ron Paul guy. So he says he caucused for Ron Paul 2008, 2012, but he just looks like a screwball. And then friend of Action for Liberty, Abigail Walters, who was the 60B nominee for the GOP in 2024, also filed for that seat as a Republican. So it's going to be interesting to see how that race ultimately shakes out. And Dawson, go back to the Secretary of State's website very quickly. There's one other thing I would like to see on there. Go ahead and click on the House District 40B special election on the left-hand side there. And go ahead and scroll down. Let's see which candidates are still remaining on that list. Okay, that's what I had seen before. So Paul Wickstrom obviously being the only Republican, David Gottfried being the Democrat-endorsed nominee right now, and Jasmine Carey and Kaying Tao are still listed on the Secretary of State's website here, so obviously they haven't withdrawn their candidacies yet. If they do not withdraw, that means there is going to be a primary. This Jasmine Carey, she competed for the endorsement. And then this Kaying Tao, she was a school board member. I think she's the administrator for the Roseville School Board area. That's going to be a very close Democrat primary. And since the Democrat primary probably determines most things here, it's going to be interesting for both of these special district elections.
Where else would you get a roundup like that, right? Like, where else would you get it? You see why I want this guy on the show all the time? Like, that was fantastic. I even almost think some of these Democrats would be like honored their name got mentioned here.
Right.
Because they'll like get like 10 votes. And they're like, oh my God, I got mentioned on
Muhammad Jama, yeah.
Yeah,
like Muhammad Jama is going to get 10 votes. But,
Muhammad Jama is going to be like, there's going to be a bunch of them. They'll be like, oh man, which one is, like, whose turn is it?
And I guess if I had to put a predictor in here, because it's coming up very quickly here, I think this Peter with Genius probably has the edge because he's been listed as a candidate before. He got 28%, so he's obviously got a little bit of a name recognition in the area. He's a part of a big organization, Sierra Club. So if I had to put a predictor out there, I'd say that this Peter with Genius is probably the favorite of these 9 candidates who are still listed. And like I said, people can withdraw today, so we might not see all 9 of those candidates.
Yeah, but it's all identity politics in that district now, right? Like, because Carrie Dietzick is like a dying. Sorry, didn't mean pun on this one, but a dying breed in the sense that, like, her dad was on the city council in Minneapolis. That's just not. You pretty much have to be in the LGBTQIA plus category or just a BIPOC or LGBTQIA. That seems to be all that matters these days. Napkin Nate said something really great. A wise man once said Minnesota politics is the most interesting in the nation, and I now agree. Yeah, a wise man did say that the other day. What does Brad have to say?
Yeah, he says, for 2025, I resolved to be more kind to Jake when it comes down to show prep and my relentless attacks on the Chicago Bears.
Jalen Johnson did make the Pro Bowl, so we do have a Pro Bowler. It's a little shocking still to me, but I was just waiting for like an offensive lineman to be in there. I was like, really, from the Bears? But of course, they didn't. That did not happen. Okay, this next segment is so fascinating. This is brought to you by Warren Wessel of Keller Williams Realty. If you're looking to buy a home or sell a home outside of Woodbury, all the way up to Detroit Lakes, you can call Warren at 612-419-7453. Now, why Woodbury and Detroit Lakes? Well, it just randomly happens to be the 2 towns that played Nicole Mitchell's trial. Man, the story, yes, Napkin Nate, you can't make this stuff up. Okay, Democrats lost. Democrats won back the Minnesota Senate. Right now, they don't have the Minnesota Senate. Now, that's due to a death. That will be filled January 28th, unless that's brought in court, or 28th, 27th. I think 27th will be filled. So that person will take place.
It's the 28th. The primary is on the 14th.
So the person will take office. What is the 28th? I should know this. 28th is a Tuesday.
Yeah.
They'll take office probably the 29th then, right? They'll administer the oath of office probably the next day.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess both Ramsey and Hennepin County are the counties are going to have to certify the election results too.
Correct, but they're wholly inside the county, so they will be certified
so
inside
it would
the
be
county.
Quick, yeah.
That person will take office pretty quickly. Okay, probably by the end of January. All right, so, by the way, there's an argument that shouldn't happen either. It was a holiday that was the filing deadline, and they basically had one day to do it. So people missed the opportunity. I mean, that's bullshit, but at least in that case, they're not just totally ignoring the law, subdivision 4 of whatever statute that was, 190 or something like that.
And they gave no opportunity for minor party candidates at all. You know, if somebody wanted to register as an independent or a libertarian or anything else, you had to collect 500 signatures in like a day. That's impossible. Nobody can do that. So they illegitimately kept out third parties from these special elections as well.
Okay, so the story: Nicole Mitchell drives from Woodbury. She's a senator of Woodbury. So this is where we thought the Democrats would lose their majority, and this actually might give the Republicans a majority. No, you know what? I take that back. They'll fill the D6 seat, so they'll go back to a majority, and then they'll probably lose it again with this one. Okay,
back to a split.
Yeah, and then they could actually lose a special election in Woodbury. That's more of a swing district. Nicole Mitchell leaves her house in Woodbury 1 a.m. When was this? I want to say this was April of 2023. 2024. Boy, it's been a long year. April 2024. Nicole Mitchell drives from her house in Woodbury 1 a.m. and drives all the way up 94 in the middle of the night and enters the home of her stepmother, who is sleeping. And by the way, from the 911 call, she enters the bedroom. She's at the base of her bed in a ski mask. You know, like I said on the show the other day, if I said, Dawson, draw me up a cat burglar, he would put a ski mask on with black gloves, all dressed black. That's what she looked like. She had a black sock over her flashlight.
And you were telling me before the show she had a crowbar.
Well, we're going to get into that.
Okay.
So hold on. We're going to get to court documents here. So there was a court hearing. I don't know the name of it, what it was called, but basically bargaining. Is there going to be a different plea? She's pled not guilty to first-degree felony burglary. Go ahead. Let's read that.
Whiskey Tango Foxtrot $5 Rumberand says, my partner says LGBTQ is gay. Well, I think pretty obviously.
Yeah, that wasn't a revelation. Jeez.
Thanks for the $5.
Well, you paid for the rubber rant, so we'll read it. Any more great revelations, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot?
But is the IA plus 2S, is that also gay?
No, it's too... Well, clearly, it's pan. Why don't they just call everyone pan? The Pan Caucus. God.
Yeah, and there's no P in the LGBTQIA. Or
yeah, what about the pans?
Yeah, they're leaving them out.
Yeah, we have the most... That's it, Jesse. Let's have the Truth Hurts most woke alphabet people, and we'll throw the P in there.
Start with the P.
Yeah, the P just does not... I think you got to start with the same base. In fact, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot does the same thing I do. I always get those things out of order. This is an LGBTQ. It's LBG. Maybe there's a reason for it. Okay, so maybe it should be by the B. I'm going, Susie, I'm doing it again. I'm just going off track. I don't know why I go on track. We're going somewhere with this. Nicole Mitchell enters the home of her stepmother, and is caught by the police. We've talked about this one quite a bit. All right. So, what's that? Highway 10 to Detroit Lakes? How do you get to Detroit Lakes? You get off 94 at some point, don't you?
I use Google Maps.
Okay. She doesn't. She uses Granger, we found out. So, she is pled not guilty to first-degree felony burglary. The prosecution and defense are moving to a trial. Starts January 27th with jury selection. Now, we uncovered some documents here. Let's go to this document. Dawson. This is the witnesses that will be called in the trial against Nicole Lynn Mitchell. They've got the dispatcher. Obviously, the 911 call is going to be entered in there. The officer, we've talked about these guys, Joe Sternhagen and Ethan Wothe. And then police chief will be a witness. I mean, this story is so interesting. And then Officer Doug Vickmark, I don't know who that one was. And then Investigator Chad Glander. They also have someone from the county sheriff's office, Deputy Benjamin Bruce. Go down to the next page.
In the dispatch.
And then Carol Lynn Mitchell. Mitchell. That's the stepmother. That's the house that was broken into. Now, this one I don't know. Pam Colleen Muxfelt. I don't know what that is. Jonathan Andrew Kuehl. Interesting. Boy, I should have, if I would have had time, I would have looked into those people. And
right.
then Deputy
It
Lee
is odd because, you'd think maybe they were neighbors or something, but obviously their addresses are listed there, Fergus Falls, Minneapolis, so something else.
Okay, now this is where it gets interesting, too. One of the witnesses is Deputy Lee Honer. Or Lee, right? Was that Lee? Yeah. Former corrections officer at Becker County Jail. Did she admit something in jail? Okay, so those are witnesses. Now, the physical evidence they're going to trial with. By the way, this is from the prosecution, so the Becker County attorney, Brian McDonald. But by the way, we always fear like a politician's going to just get off, right? And in this case, apparently the stepmother is still pressing charges, right? Because I guess that could be one way it goes away. And the political structure of Becker County, which is a county attorney, Brian McDonald, is moving forward with first-degree felony charges. This would be prison time, right? I don't think you could be charged with first-degree burglary.
It would be prison time above the bank, which is where my dad works, which is where the mom banks at, and Nicole Mitchell would be up top. It's funny.
No. She would go to prison. Like this is felony. She wouldn't just go to county jail.
Oh,
you gotta be talking about county jail.
Okay. Well, that would be funnier.
Now, she might go to female prison in Shakopee, and we'll get to that in the next segment, by the way. All right, physical evidence. Go back there. This is the last page, Dawson. They want the obituary of her dad, probate court order. This is where it gets interesting. The flashlight with black sock covering. A blue crowbar. This is the first time we've seen this. That wasn't part of the initial report, that there was a crowbar involved. Boy, that seems like breaking and entering to me. Why else would you bring a crowbar unless you used it as a weapon, right? 911 audio and transcript. The worn camera of the officers at the scene. And, by the way, we would love to watch the body cameras, right? Mm-hmm. Can you guys imagine how great this trial is going to be? I think we're going to have to go, Dawson. I think we're going to have to be there for this.
I'm ready.
By the way, there was a request for live coverage of the hearing that just occurred. It was denied by the court. It would be nice to just have a live feed of this court, right? That would be great. All right, then Indian All Squaw video. Facebook posted Nicole Mitchell. That's where she said something really bizarre. And then her public statement, which was about her stepmother suffering from Alzheimer's. Granger
she
Road
had two
Maps.
statements. Remember, she put out the initial one and then changed it?
Yeah.
Yep. So, yeah, I mean, hopefully the court caught on to that as well. Use both.
Well, yeah, I mean, we caught on to it.
Yeah.
I got to imagine they're competent up there. Granger Road Maps. Now, I thought when I read that, Granger was like a brand name I just wasn't following because people just use Google Maps. Granger's the name of the road the mother lives on. So would she have a bunch of road maps, like, of the street? Like, that's it? Like, did she have, like, Google images of how to get in there? I am so confused on that one. This is only more fascinating to me. Any and all audio interviews previously disclosed, any and all photographs previously disclosed, and any and all data associated with forensic image of laptop computer. She was caught with 2 laptop computers. One we believed was her Senate one, and then the other one was allegedly taken from the house, which was under the bed of her stepmother, who called 911 and said she's in the room. Or actually, the mother-in-law didn't even know. I'm sorry, I keep saying that. Mother-in-law. Stepmother didn't even know it was her. Like, this stepmother is like freaked out. Someone is in her room. Imagine it's like some hostile man. Mm-hmm. And then she runs and hides in the basement from law enforcement. Why isn't that one of the charges, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. That is January 27th. At some point, we got to imagine she's going to resign, right? Oh, God. She won't be... Yeah, good question, Billy 22.
Yeah, Billy 22 had a good one. Senator Mitchell will be voting over the phone from jail. Thanks, COVID. Exactly. That, like I said on previous episodes, that no representative or senator should be able to vote unless they're there in person.
Okay, well, that just brings up the perfect segue to our next segment. Are Republicans going to start fighting in Minnesota, right? Are they going to start fighting in Washington, D.C., right? All right. This segment's brought to you by the great guys at John Galt Mortgage Company. If you're looking to buy a home, try financing that home through John Galt Mortgage Company. You can go to johngaltmortgage.com. Now, listen. That is a valid question, Billy 22. Otherwise on locals, Billy 22222. And by the way, his name's not Billy. I love it. I know who it is. So I would imagine, because it is bullshit that you can just call in a vote. We talked about on the show, like Carrie Dietzich, how do we know she's even the one voting, right? So can someone call in from jail and vote? Do Democrats want that? I would say Republicans would need to stand up and demand to get rid of whatever rule they're quoting is that you could do that, right? I would imagine that's the fight then. Mm-hmm. So, holy crap. I don't know if I can say we talked about this on the show the other day. There's a 33-33 tie, which, by the way, is being reported as there might be a stalemate in the Minnesota Senate at the beginning of the session. Because technically, the Democrats are all going to vote for the Democrat presidential choice, which is probably still Bobby Joe Champion, and Republicans will be unified. We don't know the answer to that question because Rhino's Jim Abler and Jeremy Miller voted for Bobby Joe Champion, the Democrat, last time. Mm-hmm. So are they going to continue voting for a radical Minneapolis Democrat? We don't know. Maybe they just did that because they knew the Democrats already had the votes. But if they can't pick a senator or a Senate president, I guess, Jesse, Peggy Flanagan, who's an Indian, by the way, in case you didn't know that. She is an Indian. She's Native American. Ojibwe, by the way. She will be presiding over the Senate. Crazy, loony gal will be over this. Yes, I love stalemates too, Razzle Dazzle. 100% agree with that statement. Stalemates are great. Stops the government from growing. So at least for 2 weeks, we might have a stalemate as it is in the Senate, let alone they'll replace Dietzich and place that person in January, but we might have a felony burglary charge. Mm-hmm. So Democrats might have a slight
in theory,
moment.
I would think, I guess John Hoffman is maybe the most conservative Democrat in the state Senate.
Yeah.
If Republicans wanted to make that play, they could say, okay, John, we're all going to line up behind you. We don't want Bobby Joe Champion. We'd rather have you. That John Hoffman, if he wants power, which, all these politicians do, they always want to go up the ladder. That might be the only play Republicans really have to try to block Bobby Joe Champion or Peggy Flanagan.
That's what you're thinking. Yeah, that's an interesting theory. Or place like one of the Fraud Four, like Hochschild or Putnam
Kupek,
or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Make them the Senate president. Yeah. So then all focuses on them, and then they're the one championing the radical agenda.
Right. Mm-hmm. No, I think that
politics there.
Yeah, that might be something for the Senate Republicans to consider. If you can't get a Republican to be your Senate president, then you got to look at all the options on the table. The Democrats are willing to play the game Republicans need to play.
Yeah. I don't know how much I endorse that idea, but anyhow. All right.
Well,
so
there's a game.
There is a game.
There's always a game, and we get there's certain rules, but you get to choose how you play the game. But politics is a game when it comes down to it.
All right. Well, let me. In the interest of time here, because we are already in the second hour, there's no way we were going to do this show in an hour, of course. Great. We're going to do a lot in the post show. So if you're a subscriber, premium subscriber, we'll cover a lot. But if you're not a premium subscriber, just go to truthhurtsnews.com and click on subscribe. I'm also. I
think we just keep picking up new people watching, though. Honestly, it's just been an uptick. So
you know what? That's a good point. Why? I'm going to post in here in the chat on Rumble, be a premium subscriber. That's how you sign up. That's a good point. We'll go a little later, okay? That's a really good point, okay? But at some point, we're going to go only to the premium subscribers because especially with this theory I have on what's going on with New Orleans and Vegas. All right, so this is a story. Alpha News has been covering this, by the way. Or as I call nowadays, Emmer News. Mm-hmm. All right, so go ahead.
Yep, $5 rumble in from Brad Ganser. He says, target 4 weak Democrats and get them to vote for Republican legislation. Is there an organization in Minnesota that can do that? Well, I think you found one.
Yeah, go on. Who is it?
Yep. Action for Liberty.
Action for Liberty. Go to
Yeah.
actionforliberty.com. Action,
Right.
the number 4, liberty.com. All right. Good one, Brad. Brad's in the founding members club. Good guy, Brad Ganser. That's not better than that failed candidate, dude, that ends up in our thread. Okay, so go to the C1. So Alpha News has been talking about this. There's Alpha News, I think, broke this story that there's, I want to say this was a Liz Collins Reports, where there's a female inmate in Shakopee's female prison. That was redundant. Well, actually, that wasn't redundant because the whole story.
Transgender male.
No, there's a female prisoner in this Shakopee women's prison that's upset because there's a male who's, pretending to be transgender and apparently, I think, alleging rape and sexual assault, right? Which, of course, yeah, big shocker that would be happening. So that is a story that broke, and I think they got firsthand account. I'm pretty sure I've got this correct. I saw this interview somewhere. I want to say it was Alpha News. So anyhow, this is a committee hearing, the Public Policy Committee. Do I have that right? Yeah, Public Safety Committee. Public Safety Committee, and this is a Republican, Patty Mueller, who's meh. Literally, no fight in this lady. But she had a good opportunity to ask the commissioner of public safety.
Well, she had fight for about 5 seconds in this clip and then gave it up right away. So
Right, and I watched this, and I want to say it was Alpha News that was putting this out there, like, oh, what a big travesty. The Democrats were blocking her legit question, and then there's no fight. So I want to just show you this because it's a legit question wanting the public safety commissioner to respond to this. Is he a public safety commissioner? Or is he Department of Corrections? Whatever he is. Snell is his name. I'm brain fart here. But so he doesn't even get a chance to answer this legitimate question from a state representative who has a constituency. The whole point of our government is that a state representative shall be able to question the executive branch of government. Right? And watch the Democrats just say, nope, he's not going to answer your question. He doesn't have to answer your question. Moving on. And the Republicans just take it. And this is why I brought up the segment, are Republicans going to fight? How do you not fight back on this? Go ahead, play it.
Representative Mueller.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you. I just wanted to know if there was something specific, like a Minnesota testing type thing that we were looking for, but because sometimes we can specialize ourselves out of a job, and that's not something that we are interested in. The last thing, or my general inquiry, was I had the immense privilege of touring almost all of your facilities, not this past summer, but the summer before. And it was, I really, really enjoyed looking at the facilities and seeing exactly what we're talking about with degrading infrastructure. And one of my most favorite, if I can say that, tours was at Shakopee. I really enjoyed seeing how your staff interacted with the women and just the life-changing testimonies that I heard there. One of the questions that the Senator Gruenhagen asked was the recent transfer of a transgender female there. And the warden at that time kind of laughed it off and said it was the most uneventful thing he'd ever seen in his life. I have an article that says that there's now up to 5 or 6 of these inmates who are transgender. And several anonymous women are talking about how uncomfortable they are having fully intact males in a women's prison. I wanted to know what is the status of this, what is happening with this. I wanted to know how are women being able, biological women, able to feel safe as they are doing the rehabilitative process that they need to do when we are getting reports of high anxiety, high discomfort, and the feeling of unsafety. So if you could just give me some sort of status of what's going on and what the DOC is hoping to do about it.
I'm actually not going to turn it over to Commissioner right now for that because I don't know what anonymous source that you're referring to. And we need to keep moving. We have multiple people on the list. We'll have Commissioner Schnell back. You can talk to him anytime about this. I'm sure the committee will have him back at some point. But we're not going to we're not going to go into that discussion right now.
What?
Next up, we have Representative Hewitt.
All right, stop. Madam Chair. Stop. By the way, Walter Hudson, now's your time to jump in. Like, what's going on here? Like, that's a question. She has every right to ask that question, and she has a right to question the executive branch for her constituents. Who is she to shut down a question?
Right.
Now, you know,
she obviously didn't want it on the record. She did not want that to be on the public record. That's the biggest reason why you would say that we don't want that question answered right now. It's because you do not want that answer on the public record, and you do not want to force him into a spot where he's going to say something that they don't want to hear. They obviously proved that, you know, they're more about the transgenders than they are average people. They don't care about what's going on. They don't care about these female prisons. I think Senator Nicole Mitchell might, you know, come to a realization when she gets booked. Then she might actually have an opinion on this that makes sense. And yeah, you know, I noticed Walter on that committee too. He's not a fighter. Tell me something I don't know. Because yeah, all those Republicans sit there and they sit on their hands. They don't say anything. They don't fight back. They just allow that to happen. You know, if these Democrats are shutting you down in these committees, you have to speak up. Otherwise, the Democrats just rule everything. And I would have, you know, if you're Patty Mueller in that position, what you have to do is you have to continue to force that question. And you say, no, who cares what you're saying? You know, is it about the anonymous sources? You can question the chair, you know, but you put up a stink and you put up a fight and you don't stop until you get that question answered. So it shows that these people don't have the fight in them. These are a bunch of losers who are our Minnesota representatives. And, you know, what's the point of having a Republican in there if they're not going to fight? If, you know, she was doing great. She was leading up to it great. She was making a lot of good points, and then she just drops it and accepts it when the Democrats say, oh, you're not allowed to say that here. You know, we're not talking about that right now. Talk to him privately. Then all of a sudden it's a big problem. So, yeah, all these Republicans that were listed on that committee there.
Go back to the screenshot
Paul
there
Novotny,
of the video. Yeah, Paul Novotny on the right side is probably the lead, right? He would be the ranking member.
Elliot Engen, Matt Grossel. You can see all of them listed there.
Yeah,
Walter Hudson on the very end there.
That's Walter in that committee. He's on the far left. Pun intended. Just kidding. So, I mean, yeah, why aren't you fighting back? Like, I don't care what the issue is. That's just bullshit, and you know it. And you know why she's doing it, because she doesn't want the stigma. Gypsy 2100 is now a monthly supporter. What does that mean? Does that mean they're Rumble supporter?
I think that also transfers over to locals.
Oh.
I'm not 100% sure.
No idea. Well, thank you. Whatever it is. I probably should know, you know. Kind of run a business. Good job running a business, Jake. You don't even know.
And also,
some way they're supporting us. Thank you very much.
I also thought it was funny how Patty Mueller was describing in the very beginning. It was such an honor to be able to tour these prisons. You know, it seemed like the wrong language to be using. It's more like, you know, it was very interesting. I learned a lot or something like that. But, you know, it seemed like it was, oh, what a pleasure. You know, it's like and visiting a prison is a pleasure.
And then wandering around trying to find a way to ask the question.
Come on.
I just
you're
not
saying,
the
you're
A
saying
team
that
at all.
Visiting a prison wouldn't be a pleasure when you can walk by some of the bars and see Senator Nicole Mitchell behind him. Come on.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah, I'd take great pleasure if Tim Walz is behind those bars. Of course, after seeing him on the vice presidential trail, maybe he would be in the women's prison. Okay. Oh yeah, look at that. We got Razzle Dazzle emailing Paul. See, I watch these things. I watch the article or the video, and I'm like, well, I don't understand. Like, this isn't a, like, I'm sure Alpha News was like, Democrats bad. I'm like, yeah, Republicans bad. Of course the Democrats are going to do this. Where's the Republican fight? I'm like, well, the clip stopped on there, so I'm like, I'm just going to go to the committee hearing and watch the video. And they did nothing. How do you not, like, instantly fight back just on principle?
Right.
Like, excuse me, Chair.
And
that's a question to the executive branch. He has to answer it.
Right.
Now, his answer might not be satisfactory to Patty, but he at least has to answer it. Oh, you don't like the sources? Well, let the commissioner say the sources aren't good. But who are you to do that?
Right.
Oh my God!
Shows,
fight for once.
If you or I were on that committee, just out of boredom, we would fight it. We would go, "Oh man, you know, we you know, let her ask the question. It's ridiculous. It's insane." We got Carol Hexam in the comments here. Says,
"Love Carol.
Walter Hudson is controlled opposition. Such a rhino. I wish I could disagree with you, Carol, but I think that's the case. And, you know, people should check out what Carol's husband, Merle, put out a video detailing some of the falsehoods that have been spread about Otter Tail County. And I haven't finished that quite yet, but it's nice that there's truth tellers in the grassroots that are willing to set the record straight, because otherwise it's the establishment narrative that continues to persuade people.
We are going to actually talk about Merle Hexham in the next segment. Pull up the C2. This is 54A. This is Brad Tapke, the clown of Shakopee. Speaking of women's prisons, so Brad Tapke won a squeaker. Allegedly won 14 vote. We've talked about this on the show. 14 vote margin.
Do you say C2?
C2, Charlie 2. This is Pam Altendorf. She's a representative from just south of Red Wing, right?
Well, she's in Drazkowski's district.
Yeah. Is she closer to Winona? I can't remember.
Not sure.
Somewhere along the Mississippi there. So she is talking about. She's taking on a fight, and I want to see how she finishes this fight. But says already we knew that 20 ballots. We've talked about this on the show to great lengths. 20 ballots were thrown out in Shakopee in a race. It's thrown in a trash can, not counted, in a race that was decided by 14 votes.
We should say 21.
20 were confirmed thrown away. The other one they didn't confirm, but probably
they didn't investigate. Yeah, it was thrown away.
All right, so she says 26 voted by absentee ballot and then voted again on election day in person at the precinct level. Both votes counted in totals. This is according to Representative Altendorf. She also was on a signature or a document with Murphy.
Yeah,
Tom Murphy.
Representative Murphy.
Yep, from Otter Tail County. Three voted 2 times in person at a precinct. On these, I wonder if there was a spoiled ballot and somehow both ballots were counted. One voted 2 times, both by absentee ballot. Now, we've gone through the data. We've actually built the data system to look at the voter data. There are a lot of discrepancies in the voter data. I don't always say it's attributed to malice, but this is a Star Tribune article, but I've read the actual letter from Scott County, and it's by Susan Dew of the Minneapolis paper. GOP misunderstood report, officials say. Scott County election officials on Tuesday said that no one voted more than once in a highly contested Shakopee area House race one day after 2 Republican legislators claimed 30 people cast duplicate votes. Representatives Pam Altendorf and Tom Murphy alleged, she is Red Wing, it says on here, alleged Monday that documents from the Secretary of State's office showed 30 people voted twice in the 54-8 race. Let me go to A4 here. Why don't you like this old school paper? Mm-hmm. It's because my partner here at the studio happens to still get the physical paper. And despite hating the Star Tribune, he still has sometimes you just have old school guys that just they have to still have that physical paper, right? There's this really funny meme out there, and it's like from the early 1900s on a train, and it goes, kids these days with their faces always in the screens, and it's a bunch of people on their way to work in a train in like the 1900s, and their all faces are in the paper. Mm-hmm. It's like, they've been doing it forever. Elections staff have checked the 30 alleged discrepancies from 54A and can verify that there was only 1 vote per person. Scott County election manager Julie Hansen. By the way, Julie Hansen never got back to us on our request or inquiry, right? The review of these rosters is all part of the normal election process. Once again, the situation has demonstrated that all of the false fail-safes, backstops, and processes in place to ensure the integrity of our elections are upheld, except for 20 ballots just being chucked in the trash by an election official. Mm-hmm. Is there a story to this? I don't know. Pam, Tom, show us you're fighting for us. Okay? Is there more? Because Pam alluded to more coming out in the story. I don't think they even need this story, to be honest with you. Even if the story doesn't check out here, 20 ballots were thrown in the trash. Jesse says 21. We know 21 ballots, absentee ballots, never were counted. Mm-hmm. And the margin of victory was 14 points. That alone says this election should be redone. By the way, Pam, you could fight on the House floor.
Right.
Don't certify 54A.
There is some lawsuit associated to this. I didn't have time to research it too much, but I did read that the judge is supposed to be making a ruling on 54A by January 14th. So that should, that gives us a little bit of time here before we see what's going to go on. But, I mean, the judge needs to recognize that when there's all these ballots that are gone and the margin of victory is smaller than the ballots that are missing, you cannot certify that election.
Razzle Dazzle says, "Why I could never pay for that trash." I know, man. He just does it, and then he circles things. It's so funny when he circles or puts arrows. I don't know. Does Dale do that for you?
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's like, yeah, I've already seen that article, or I already know about it. Because he's reading the physical paper. I don't think it's caught up to him the fact that we just read it digitally. And get around that paywall that Star Tribune's always doing. I mean, Star Tribune still does some journalism. They're actually now worse than the Pioneer Press. That is just a junk rag of a outfit. All right, last story here. Otter Tail County. This segment's brought to you by Alpine Chemistry in St. Cloud, Minnesota. Also, I'd be remiss if I didn't say sign up for your chance at winning front row seats to Jordan Peterson. You can go truthhurtsnews.com/JBP. That's his JBP as in Jordan B. Peterson. Front row seats. We got we scooped the last ones. We'll be giving those away here very shortly here in January. It's on January 27th to hear his phenomenal lecture. All right, Otter Tail County. So as you guys know, thanks to the leadership of Eric Mortensen, the team in Action for Liberty, David Hann, corrupt MNGOP Chair David Hann, lost his job. He got ousted, and he's technically no longer MNGOP chair, assuming he did hand over the books, because there's rumors he was not doing that. But I saw that, I think, in Blois's report this morning too. But we reported that.
But according to David Hann, he was doing a smooth transition, right? Yeah. And thankful for his time to serve. And yeah, I'm sure everybody got that email. Just totally ridiculous.
Yeah, like how great I am, by the way. Bragging about
getting the party out of debt when it was Trump. It was Trump showing
bragging
up.
About $8.5 million raised, and then when you look at it, it's like that's over 2 years plus, like $2.5 million came from transfers from other political units. Like, what a joke that guy is. Okay, so anyhow, let's pull up the D1. This is Action for Liberty's story on Otter Tail County being BPOU being decertified on his way out. Now, this is the first article by the wonderfully talented Wendy Phillips, who was basically in the crosshairs of David Hann, And this is a real patriot. If you want to talk about, I love Wendy Phillips to death. She is a California transplant into Minnesota during COVID. Her husband, Jim, who, by the way, was at one point a push-up champion. He actually, his parents, both parents or just dad, live in Minnesota, getting to the point where they need extra care. So they moved from California back to Minnesota. And Wendy wasn't even politically active until we found her. And then she basically, within 2 years of becoming politically active, was on the state executive committee of the Republican Party of Minnesota. There's a real rag to riches story from Action for Liberty and what they can accomplish. All right, so this is her first story with Action for Liberty. This is, she literally wrote that. I just stole her first line. This is the first article I'm writing for Action for Liberty, and it's personal. You hope and pray that you're wrong, that he will come around and do the right thing. Then you have to accept the harsh reality of who it is that you're dealing with. David Hann, now former chair of the MNGOP. True to character or lack thereof, on his way out the door, Hann delivered the final blow to Otter Tail County by sending letters to the Campaign Finance Board and the Secretary of State requesting the decertification of the Otter Tail County Board, OTC's Otter Tail County, BPOU, Hann's swan song of unconstitutional and vindictive actions. David Hann's legacy as MNGOP chair is now cemented as a petty tyrant. OTC has a tremendous grassroots movement and has been dealing with the challenges for some years now because of their love for and adherence to the Constitution. Leadership told OTC that if they organized for the 2024 caucus, they could see meaningful change in their county. So the grassroots people of OTC turned out in an overwhelming numbers only to be double-crossed by Hann. Okay, now let's open up the D2, and this is a letter that we obtained written from the establishment that runs Otter Tail County asking David Hann to decertify them. Now imagine this. You're a Republican organization in Otter Tail County. Your job is to elect Republicans. Your job is to get more votes out there. So first of all, if that's your job, you shouldn't get rid of 200 plus delegates. Like, that's the dumbest idea ever. Like, you need more votes. You don't just tell 200 delegates you're disqualified. But they did that. Then you don't try to be decertified, because the reason that they can actually be a BPOU, which means basic party operational unit, like basically a county organization, the only reason they can do that is they get certified by the party. They're asking to be decertified, meaning you don't actually want to exist as an organization to help Republicans get elected. Like, whoa! Dear Chairman Hann and Republican State Executive Committee. That's right, Hann. We still have a leaker on that committee. We, the executive board of the Otter Tail County Republican Party, BPOU, in consultation with CD7 leadership and others, request to not be recertified for 2025. Who's leading CD7, Jesse? Stafford for Finchbach, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that their leader? Republicans in Otter Tail County have worked tirelessly for many years to bridge the gap between the official BPOU and the newly emboldened activist faction that is seeking to overtake the Republican Party for their own purposes. Ooh, like, so devious. How dare they do that? Like, I don't know. Maybe they actually want less government. Yeah, noble thought. Our efforts have been met with continued discord and conflict. We have attempted to schedule meetings with members of the opposition group. Don't you love how they call them the opposition group?
Yeah.
Crazy. All those outcasters, those terrorists, those insurgents, including those,
Well,
quote,
meanwhile,
voted.
some of these people, including Merle, is on the executive board. So they're a part of the organization itself too. And yeah, I mean, it's so obvious that the establishment just realized that they don't have the stranglehold on Otter Tail County anymore, that they just want to control it and keep it as an establishment social club. But the grassroots are fighting, and because it's gotten so much attention, that's why David Hann feels the need to do this on the way out. It's basically, this is Joe Biden pardoning Hunter Biden on the way out.
Yeah,
is what it is. It's doing something extremely unpopular at the last minute because that it would hurt you at the base. It would hurt you with your own people. So that's why he's doing it at the last minute. He wouldn't have done this before the State Central Committee. Why didn't he do it before then? Because it would prove that he was being vindictive. So he's doing it at the last minute. It cements his record.
Oh, this is interesting. I'm going to get to this comment here in our thread real quick, but let me continue on. We have attempted to schedule meetings with members of the opposition group, including those, quote, voted as leadership at the unofficial convention held by the invalid delegates and alternates that came out of the 2024 precinct caucus. Our invitations have been rejected, ignored. By the way, that's what Wendy chaired, was the convention, because they're sort of required to have a convention, and those people were duly elected delegates, and there's paper evidence. And actually, we did a video and went up to Otter Tail County, and their 2 state reps said that happened.
Right, and the locals wanted a neutral source, and who could be more neutral than Wendy, who is, has no self-interest in the matter. She just simply wants to make sure that they hold a BPOU convention that conducts the business properly and fairly.
And for that, she gets booted out of CD1 executive position.
Yep, thanks to Aaron Ferris.
Yes.
And, Aaron Ferris, obviously people know him now for being the guy who used the nominations committee to rig it in favor of David Hann for the State Central Committee, which ended up blowing up in his face because the people realized how corrupt he was acting. And that was part of the reason why David Hann fell.
Right. It's fair point. We sought volunteers through the summer months and into the fall to walk and parade, sit at our county fair booths, door knock, participate in Trump Force training, put up yard signs, etc., inviting all Republicans to participate. Our efforts were met with mocking and accusations with little to no willingness to help. So in other words, you suck at your job. After the August primary, our chair, Vance Bachman, announced an open meeting to take place via Zoom, because we couldn't meet in person.
Yeah.
Following the announcement of the meeting, the invalid BPOU group sent an email stating, "This invitation is not valid, and if a meeting is held and decisions are made, they will not be valid either. Per our county constitution, the individual who is calling this meeting is no longer an officer and does not have the authority to do so, and delegates and alternates are encouraged to not attend." This email was signed by Eric Hansen, Merle Hexum, there we go, Carol, and I told you your husband was going to be part of the story, Sherry Mice, Jackie Miron, sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, and Dwayne Dornbush, although not signed by all the, quote, officers from the invalid convention. We were extremely disappointed to see them encouraging people not to attend the meeting, as it was intended as an olive branch, because we're the good people, obviously. Very few people attended. We scheduled additional open meetings in October and December and had 1 to 5 attendees at these subsequent meetings. So in other words, once again, you're bad at your job. You can't even organize an event where people show up.
You can't organize an olive branch.
Right. Yeah, I know, right? And by the way, just think about this. we went up there to Otter Tail County and like an auto body shop on, what was that, like in March on a cold day, and the room was packed. There's like 200 people, but they can't even find somebody with lead time. It's ridiculous. We fear that there's not a way to move forward to be able to hold conventions or come to a consensus on just who can and should be participating in BPO decisions. We believe a BPO should not be reconstituted until after the 2026 precinct caucuses. We are disappointed that the issues among Republicans within Otter Tail County seem unresolvable because you suck your job. We want to see the party strengthen and grow, but believe there are too many people working against us to be productive anyway. We thank you for your continued support and work. Signed, well, it doesn't say who's signed by. By the way, how you strengthen the Republican by dissolving the Republican Party, you freaking con artists. Anyhow.
Yeah, there's a couple good comments
Yeah,
here.
let's go. The first one Don was talking about.
Yeah, Don2448 says, I'm a part of the original OTC 33, which were the 33 delegates that were removed illegitimately. She says.
Okay, hold on one second. Hold on. Because this is confusing for people that don't follow us like us. So she's referring not to this year, or 2024. She's referring to the year before. That was a whole different batch of delegates, and they removed in 2023. 33 delegates said they couldn't attend a convention they'd already paid and went to.
Yep.
And they kicked them out.
Who were duly elected, attended the caucus, attended their BPOU, and did everything right. But Dawn goes on to say, I offered to be one to help reconcile with the BPOU directly with Vance Bachman, going back to the CD7 convention. He wouldn't return my calls. And then Dawn also says, I was in that Zoom meeting, and they didn't acknowledge my presence. I couldn't unmute myself.
That's why they do it. Yeah, that's exactly why they do the Zoom meeting.
And
Because
Billy
then you can't talk.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Billy 22
Seen that
makes
one
a
before.
great point. He says, state statute requires a convention. Hand's refusal to acknowledge it puts the party in violation of its constitution and therefore has put its major party status in jeopardy. And
Right
that's
on.
right, that the state laws require every local BPOU to be holding a convention. And since David Hann was trying to force them not to, and then delegitimize the convention that they did hold, where Wendy Phillips was chair, it shows that they are not in compliance with state law. And if you're not in compliance with the state law, how could you be a major party? So it's a major issue for the Republicans that David Hann has now caused a serious problem for.
Ewall says, is Tommy Miracle part of this? And from our belief, the Miracles, the family, are all about this, right? They are, I mean, I'm sure they're all allied. Vince Bachman, I don't know these people, but that they're all allied together. They're the Otter Tail County establishment. And sometimes when because we were all over the state and we see this stuff, I mean, we saw what we helped break up the Morrison County establishment. By the way, it's really funny to watch how much these little rural BPOUs raise money from like wealthy donors from the Twin Cities and lobbyists and PACs and unions. Isn't that funny? They use these BPOUs as like, we've covered this on the show, but they use them as their own like personal banks to like divvy it up and give to the establishment. Such a joke. So yeah, these guys, they're very similar in what they do. Oh, by the way, they all seem to have the same treasurer, Diane Johnson, who is the wife of former Representative Brian Johnson. I guess technically he's still a representative until they take the new oath on January 14th. We have a couple more comments and then we'll go to the post show. By the way, if you're not a member of the post show, I'm going to put this in here again. You can go click on truthhurtslocals.com/support. Or go to truthhurtsnews.com and click on support. Otherwise, I put the link in Rumble. I could put that in YouTube as well. Go ahead. Let's read those comments.
Yeah, let's see here. Carol Hexam says, we're only Republicans when they need our help, but called insurrectionists when they don't need us. And yeah, I'm sure that's exactly how it goes. And Razzle Dazzle says, how can these establishments not actually be Democrats who have infiltrated the MNGOP? I've got my suspicions on a few of them. And let's see here. Phil Can says, I have no confidence in Plekish and DeJournet to have the ability to get our party on track and win elections. Well, we're just starting the new year, and like I said, I'm not exactly Plekish's #1 fan, but I'm willing to give him a chance, and especially with this Otter Tail County situation, this is the perfect opportunity for him to right the wrong, get things correct. So if anything, David Hann is giving him a great test to see if he is going to align himself with the grassroots.
Yeah, that's actually perfectly said. This is a great test for Alex Plekish. Will you do the right thing? Will you recertify Otter Tail County? Will you have new elections for party leadership and recognize the delegates in that district. Time to right the wrongs of David Hann.
Yeah, and if he wanted to, he could go and chair that convention.
I think that would be a great gesture.
Right, or at least be present there and make sure that it's a fair parliamentarian, fair chair, because that's basically all that the people in that area want. They just want things to be fair.
Yes. Okay. So, Jesse, you had, before we go to the post show, you did find something on Vivek.
Yeah.
Because we had a big, lively discussion.
I said on the last show that I will find the clips of Vivek being a hypocrite on the H-1B visas, and sure enough, I found two. And,
I haven't watched this yet.
And I found more, but these were the two good ones. So, Dawson, let's go and pull up the D5. This is where Vivek was questioned on H-1B visas from a student. I think this is in North Carolina, and we'll just go ahead and check it out.
Welcome to UNC. So I have a genuine question for you. You were quoted saying that people who come to this country as family members are not the meritocratic citizens who should be accepted. I believe you achieved citizenship through your parental ties. Why would you have got the H-1B visa, which 70% of is given to Indian people?
The H-1Bs?
I also believe that your company hired employees on this visa. So why are you turning your back on the Indian community, man?
So I got two answers for you. Thank you for the question. First of all, a lot of the people who have come here through the H-1B system would tell you, as I would, that it is just a broken system no matter who you're seeking to serve. For example, you want to talk about special interests and lobbying? This is direct Silicon Valley lobbying that said that if you get your H-1B visa and you're hired by one company, you're effectively like a slave. You can't switch to a different company. That's not a free labor market. So there's so much that's broken and bureaucratized. Here's the next question about the H-1B visa system is why the heck do we do it on the basis of a lottery when you could actually just select the very best people? So there's a lot that's broken about the administrative state, the bureaucracy. My general approach is when something's broken in government, you can't really fix it when it's lasted that long. You need to shut it down, start with a blank slate, and rebuild from scratch. And that's just a stylistic point that I've applied to this issue as to any other. Let me say a word about immigration policy more generally.
All right, I think that's good right there.
Yeah, well, I don't think...
so what he's saying is that H-1B visas can be turned into indentured servitude, slavery, and it is beyond repair. So he obviously had a very different take on that before, and then let's go and pull up the...
I don't know. You're going to have to give me better evidence.
The D6. Let's go and pull up the D6, because he says it just here as well. So... he's obviously got a very different opinion on what he is saying in this clip too. So this is a nice lady who's just asking, "What's your opinion on immigration?" So let's go ahead and hear what Vivek says on this one.
What are you going to do about immigration?
Seal the border, gut the H-1B system, none of the chain migration stuff. We need to actually focus on what helps this country, what helps the homeland.
What Chuck Grassley told me, he's my neighbor in Hartford, is the immigration system is about run out of a shoebox.
Yeah, I like that actually.
And so...
He says it well.
What will you do about that?
Well, I think that we have to, first of all, end the illegal problem, and then on the legal problem, make it about, are you going to make contributions to this country? If yes, if not, no. That's the answer. A lot of the asylum needs to go down to zero.
Jesse, I gotta say you're stretching.
No way.
Because I think
no way.
Right.
He was
he did say it.
He said gut the H-1B program, and that's what he was saying before.
Right, but but then he says good immigration like at the end.
Yeah.
He's like trying to do like a rapid fire because the clip before he said you can't just fix it. So I think he's kind of using the idea, maybe just applying the idea of what he's trying to say of skilled people to fill that gap, and he's kind of using H-1B as a generic term for that. So I could see the consistency on that in the sense that, yeah, the current H-1B, because he's right, it's like slavery in the sense that you can only come here for one company. That's ridiculous, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like...
But he's not proposing any changes to actually stop that. He's only saying that we want people based on their merit. So he's not talking about...
But he had a very specific nuanced policy in this general call, or is he just basically saying, once again, you got to account for that gap?
Right. He's talking about the expansion of it. He's not addressing the critical problems that he was addressing before, where he was saying...
that's inconsistency, is he's now just talking about expanding, because there he clearly was saying you have to gut it, but he made it sound like you want to rebuild. It just has to be done better, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't believe you could do that. Is that what the inconsistency is?
Right. It's basically that, he was saying that this program is not the method to do this. And now all of a sudden he's saying it is the method.
Well, that's
before
fair.
he was gut it and create something new.
Philosophically, he's still in line. It seems like he hasn't changed philosophically on that issue.
No, he
just has on the way of conducting it, like how to execute this plan. Like he was before, it was like you have to gut it. Now it seems like he's promoting the expansion.
Now expanding it. Yeah, so that's
but
a
it still
completely
seemed like
different
he
opinion.
was for that kind of immigration before.
The merit-based, he was always saying that. I'm not disputing that he wants a merit-based thing, but he's expanding that beyond, and he's adding, H-1B. It's not merit-based. They want to claim it is, but all you got to do is look at Disney. Look at all these hotels that are hiring cooks. McDonald's uses this. Are we saying that Americans can't do jobs for McDonald's either?
Kind of.
I saw, let's see, Brad Gander says, Jesse, we are all descendants of immigrants. I'd rather say, instead of we're a nation of immigrants, we're a nation of citizens. And that needs to become the logic that we're using nowadays, because if it's all, we're a nation of immigrants, okay, open borders, why not? Because if we're all about trying to, let anybody in that wants to come in that we, could contribute in any way whatsoever. That's ridiculous to me. So I'd say no, we're a nation of citizens, and we need to get back to that. Vivek obviously isn't the real deal. He campaigned on one thing, is doing something else now. I'm not sure if there's any comments I should get to here.
Well, let's save it for the post show. We got our, I think, first annual subscriber of the year, 2025, $88 a year or $8 a month. You get a month off if you subscribe annually. We got our first one, Crucified 93. So join us on Locals in the Post Show. I want to tell you my theory on these attacks in New Orleans and in Las Vegas at the Trump Hotel. And we'll finish up some of these stories on there. Thank you to our great sponsors, Warren Wessel of Keller Williams Realty, John Galt Mortgage Company. Go to johngaltmortgage.com, and Alpine Country in St. Cloud, Minnesota. Thank you to all of our Rumble Rants, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, Brad Ganser. I think maybe Failed Candidate was in there too. And our new subscriber.
Yeah, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot.
And a new subscriber in there too, and I can't remember who that was. Is there a way for me to tell? Sorry, I want to give a shout out. I think this is it. No, that's not it. Sorry, I can't remember who it was. Oh, you know what? Here it is. Gypsy 2100. Thank you, Gypsy 2100. And then if you want to be part of our post show, you don't have to do this live, but if you want to do it after the fact, if you're watching the show, most of our audience watches after the fact anyhow. You can also come in and become a subscriber. Go to truthhurtsnews.com, and you'll see right on the top, support. We'll be back on Tuesday. There'll be so much to talk about, I guarantee it. So we'll see you, everyone that's not a premium subscriber, on Tuesday. Everyone else will be in the post show starting in 1 minute.